So I'm Jean Galloway. I lead national disease modelling projects, which are a combination of plant pathology and modelling to produce decision support tools. What's new in decision support? Well, we are going to have, oh, sorry, I'm a short ass. All right. So we're going to have a new decision support tool, which is called Net Blotches Barley Management, BM, delivered soon. So it's due for release in mid-2023. This won't be in time for making your decisions about what you're going to put in there underneath at seeding, but it will be in time for when you're starting to make some of those decisions about putting in your foliar fungicides. It will be available for phones and tablets. It will have some location-specific climate risk information, so you'll be able to say, I'm near Albany or Northam or something. It is a national tool, so it won't just be for WA. We're actually doing a meta-analysis right now. We've got 20 years of data from WA, from the likes of Jeff Thomas and Andrea and Keith Jacina. We've also got all Rob Lockman's work. We've got lots of work that goes back 20 years. We've got 20 years worth of data from Victoria, and we've got about 5 years worth of work from Queensland. So we're going to be focusing on basically yield responses across agroecological zones. So watch this space. There's a national team, once again, that is guiding the development of this tool. So everything that anybody who works on net blotches across the country knows gets embedded within the tools. And that's how all of the tools are developed. So UCI Blackleg CM was our new tool that we released this year. This is for upper canopy infection, which Andrea just touched on in canola. So we released that in the middle of the year, I'd like to say just in time for the spray decisions for upper canopy infection. We were bang on for the spray decision times in the eastern states. I think we were a little bit too late here for WA. The early season caught us off guard. And then half my team went down with COVID. So we had a few glitches, but we got there, as I say, I think just a smidge late for WA, but we certainly got there in the end. That tool is phones and tablets. It was the first of the tools that's got the location-specific climate risk stuff. And then it was guided by Steve Marcroft and then the National Canola Pathology team. They guided the development of this. It's really important to know with UCI Blackleg, its app, it is not the be-all and end-all yet of decision support tools. We used every bit of available information that we have, current knowledge. So it's as good as you phoning Andrea or Steve Marcroft and asking him what they think they would do. It's as good as that. As more information comes up, every year there's more research. We will be updating the tool and adjusting it to take on board that new information. But at this moment, it can give you access to the most current knowledge. One of the biggest drawbacks that Andrea mentioned as well is that we don't currently know a lot about the varietal resistance level. So we know a lot about blackleg resistance in terms of the stem canker phase of it. We don't always know how that relates to whether a variety is going to get hammered with upper canopy infection or not. We certainly know that if you've got effective major gene resistance, so you're not getting leaf spotting or you're getting only a little bit of leaf spotting, that will carry through to the upper canopy. But we're not so certain on the other varieties which have got lesser resistance levels to the stem canker. So we're talking UCI, and it was just mentioned that possibly we should actually show some people. Not everyone has actually seen upper canopy infection. So this is what we talk about by UCI, upper canopy. It's any infection of blackleg on the flowers, on the peduncles, which is that fancy word for the bit that attaches a flower to the branch, the branches and the pods. Any of that is an upper canopy infection. So there's a couple of examples there. They're classic. They always have the little black pepper spots in the lesion. So when you're wanting to work out, is it blackleg? Look for those pepper spots in the lesions. So in the UCI Blackleg decision tool, I've got a screenshot here. I do apologize. Probably on this screen, it's probably quite small. If you turn around, for the people at the back, you'd be able to see the writing a lot better on the back screen. So that's a screenshot. It's very weighted to leaf lesions. So I know the pointer doesn't work, but there's a picture up there with spots on it. That was blackleg lesions on a trial near Northam that I had this year. So when I ran the app, I set up the scenario that's there for my trial site and the situation there, and I obviously ticked a box, which is the one circled there, that said I had leaf lesions, because there was no doubt I had leaf lesions. So what I've got two graphs here. One that's very yellow and one that's sort of purple with a little tiny yellow bit. So in the scenario that I just showed you, if I did not tick that box that said I had leaf lesions, the app would give me the graph with the yellow. Now, the graph with the yellow, anything in yellow on our decision support tool says that there's very little or no probability of getting an economic return from that spray. So this reflects in the fact that we know if you've got major gene resistance and you've got no leaf spots, you're unlikely to get a response to yellow spot. Sorry. UCI, yellow spot. Damn it, I'm talking about yellow things. All right, it's nearly coffee time. All right, where I had ticked the box on that exact same scenario, the app lit up and said to me, a lot of purple, there was a very high probability of getting a return under the situation that I had put in there to actually putting on something from UCI. Okay. So, any more questions? You can think about those for later, about what this might or might not mean. So just lucky last, I just want to touch briefly on blackleg CM. It's an old tool. We released this in 2018, but it's actually a really useful tool. I know that a lot of consultants and people use it actually this time of the year when they're actually planning. They use it as a planning tool, not just as a decision in the paddock tool come sort of 3 to 4 leaf stage and you're trying to decide, should I put a foliar fungicide spray on? So something I really want to touch on in this tool is that it's on tablets only still. And I know there's been a lot of demand for phones, and we're working on it. My developer tells me that she will not have it on phones for you in your hands by the beginning of the season, but we hope if I was to stand here next year, I'd be saying, yeah, it's on phones by now. Okay, so we're working on it. We've heard, and we're trying to do that. It is a tricky one. There's a lot of information in it that we're finding hard to put on, to condense it down into a phone screen. What is important about this tool is that we update it twice a year, every year, with the latest variety information. So we get the resistance information from Steve Marcroft and his team. Everyone's contributing to that nationally. And we update this tool. So there's actually an e-variety guide hidden in there with the latest information. So the question that we get asked all the time is, well, how do we get at that information? So I just want to quickly run through. So I've got some screenshots here. When you open up blackleg CM for the first time, it will default to what you're seeing there. It's the table screen vision, and you can see you can put in some crop stuff. To get to the variety thing, you have to click on what my developer calls the hamburger icon, which I've circled up the top there. It's those 3 white bars. So she calls it the hamburger icon. So you click on that, and what it does is gives you a drop-down menu. You just select variety, and that takes you to the full variety list. Obviously, in the screenshot, I can't get a full variety list, but all the information about all your varieties is listed there. Their resistance group, the chemical group, whether it's an A or a B or a mixture of groups, all of that information is there. There's on the top there, sorry, because this doesn't work, you have a favorites bar. You have a way of going in there, and you can actually favorite your favorite thing. So you can see that I've got Bonito and an Invigor variety there favorited in my tool. That's because in my area, I work out of Northam, those are the 2 most commonly grown varieties. So when someone phones me up, they're most likely going to be asking me about those. So I don't have to hunt through to find my variety. They're right at the top. So you can do that, and if they're no longer favorites, you can unfavorite them as well.